So I'm over here just minding my own business, and this video just happens to show up in my feed. And I watched it just out of curiosity, and it's a textbook example of just how many of these response channels and stuff they cover like news, drama related stuff are just so blatantly gynocentric. And I figured I would do a response to it, not do any fancy editing and stuff, just to get it over with. But I mainly wanted to do it because I think it's important to be able to spot how narratives are woven by content like this, right? So what this video is supposed to be about is this woman got a PhD, and Twitter, angry men on Twitter are mad at her for getting an education. And as we will see throughout this video, it's about 10 minutes long. I might not respond to the whole thing, but as you'll see, it's framed as men just hate women, but the reasoning as to why will be woven in the most misandric way possible, right? So let me just play some of this, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that.
This is probably the most infuriating story of the year. Every time I think the internet cannot get more insane, it manages to surprise me. So a woman on Twitter posted that she had finished her PhD, and the men of the internet lost their minds. They started attacking her, sending her...
All right, so let's read what some of these tweets being used as examples actually say, because what they'll do is they'll use all these fancy editing tricks to make you feel a certain way, like, oh, men are mad on the internet, but what did the men actually say, right? Because if we read the tweets, we might figure out why they're saying it. Wow. So basically, you stink. I could have told you that for free. What an incredible waste of money and time. Welcome to the esteemed club of midwits who use doctor on their Twitter profile. So, woke fart sniffing. Wow, you wrote something worthless that nobody's ever going to read instead of starting a family. Here's a sticker. Okay, so that's all mean and misogynistic and oh my God, so terrible, right? But it sounds like, just reading those tweets, it sounds to me that the implication of that is, I don't think they're mad that a woman got a PhD. I think they're mad about what she got a PhD in, right? So let's keep going.
Sending her death threats, and
what was that last comment? You are the dumbest blank blank, I think we know what those words are, I have ever seen on the internet, and the perfect example of literally everything wrong with society. Imagine thinking you deserve taxpayer money for writing up that useless piece of, poop thesis no one will ever read. Vegan, feminist, and queer. Your dues to society are many, and me and the boys will... I think that's the R word. I can't take... We'll blank them out of you. Okay, well, that last part is definitely unnecessary, but yet this sounds like it has a lot to do with what she's majoring in. It's almost like this woman is yet another woman of many. This is just another person to specialize in underwater basket weaving or some kind of nonsense. It's very interesting.
And it's only continuing, and it's part of a wider trend that's been happening online. So we're going to break all of it down for you right here on Scroll Deep, the show that keeps up with internet nonsense so you don't have to. And you can now find Scroll Deep on Instagram.
So, in other words, this is a drama channel. This is a drama channel. Okay, so can we skip to where we actually talk about the woman? Is this her?
Ali Lukes, recently minted as Dr. Ali Lukes, congratulations, after she attained her PhD. She was elated and took to X, the everything app, to celebrate, saying, quote, thrilled to say I passed my Viva with no corrections and am officially PH done, which is of course a fun play on the term PhD, which of course actually...
Okay, she's not gonna fuck you, bro. She's not gonna fuck you, okay? Can we get on with it?
Stands for Professional Happy Doctor. In the photo, she is seen smiling, holding her bound PhD, and the title is visible, and almost immediately, the men of the internet, and it is almost exclusively men, they lost their sweet minds. They were so...
Yeah, but why, though? Like, okay, well, I'll explain to you why it's men. I'll explain to you why it's men that get mad over this shit. Because women think this shit is cute. Not all of them, but, a lot of women apparently think this crap that we're about to start hearing this guy talk about is fucking adorable and it is getting obnoxious.
So angry. Immediately they were so angry. And the post blew up and has now been viewed over 100 million times. Now there's two elements to that. One, it's been viewed a lot of times. Two, numbers on Elon Musk's Twitter are completely made up. So who knows how many times it's been viewed, but it's been viewed quite a lot of times. Her PhD is titled...
Thank you for acknowledging that astroturfing is a thing, by the way. Bots and whatnot, like, yeah, it's could very much be not... not real engagement thanks to AI and robots. Yeah, thanks for at least acknowledging that.
Titled, quote, Olfactory Ethics.
Okay, so here is it. Olfactory ethics, the politics of smell in modern and contemporary prose. Okay, maybe my poo brain is at... I have my phone right here. So what does it even mean by prose? Like, oh my God, what does that even mean? See, this is why men are upset at this. This literally means fucking nothing. I'm trying to keep the swearing to a minimum, not necessarily for ad revenue or anything, but just to try to keep it a little professional. Okay, backed by science, powered by people, developed by a world-class team of in-house. Okay, what does prose mean in writing? Writing that does not follow a or rhyme scheme is so what does that mean? So like it's just in type of right. So is she talking about the politics of smell in modern and contemporary writing? Is that basically what that means? Because it's the way that it's written. It's like written in the most pretentious way imaginable, which is saying a lot coming from me, because I speak in a way that many people could probably consider to be pretentious. But like, holy shit. Okay, prose is called ordinary writing made up of sentences or paragraphs without any metrical or rhyming structure. If you write, I walked about all along over the hillsides. That's so just speak. Just say speech. Just say the politics of smell in modern contemporary speech instead of making it as confusing as possible. This is like a telltale sign of being a pseudo intellectual. Is I have to say it in the most complicated way possible to make it sound even more sophisticated than it actually is, to make sure everyone in the room is confused. So apparently this is something that she wrote. An olfactory, that's another term. And maybe it's because, I'm not a college grad professor, but, olfactory, what is that? Is the study of how smell and the language is. So I think that's what she just named it. Yeah, it goes directly to her. That's just what it is. But what does the name olfactory mean? Relating to the sense of smell. Okay, so it's just referring to smell. Okay, in my defense, I've never heard anyone use that term before. You learn something new every day. So she's just talking about the ethics of smell in language. So this is a book written by Dr. What was her name again? Allie Lokes or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. She took her PhD to write a book about the ethics of how smells are described, I guess, in modern day speech, in just modern day language. What? Why are so many men upset? This is like underwater basket weaving type of shit. Like, what is in this book that would qualify as genuine knowledge that helps anybody? Right? Taxpayer money is going to teach wealthy upper middle class white women to write books about this type of shit. All right, I'm stalling. I need to keep going, but like that, I just want to make that very clear. That the controversy here, the non-controversy being fabricated, circles around a woman who wrote a book about the ethics of how people describe smells with words.
The Politics of Smell in Modern and Contemporary Prose. She did her PhD in English literature, and speaking to the BBC, she explained that her thesis, quote, explores why certain writers of the past century used the language associated with smell to characterize harmful attitudes towards objects of disgust and desire, adding, quote, I draw on the well-documented history of olfactory prejudice. What a great phrase. Olfactory just means like related to smell. Olfactory prejudice in order to examine its contemporary relevance. Now, maybe I'm crazy, but to me, that feels like a perfectly reasonable and quite interesting concept for a thesis. But also, it doesn't really...
Interesting. No, that's a waste of everyone's time is what it is. We have taken so much time and energy entertaining this pseudo-intellectual nonsense, not just this particular instance, but just multiple instances where the study being made, the thesis being made is so absolutely ridiculous. The prejudice, so smell prejudiced, the prejudice of smell, this what is this book really supposed to be about? I'm supposed to feel bad about describing something that I don't like as what describing this shit? Like what is even really being said there? I know people are going to listen to the way that I'm speaking. It's just like, oh, he used swear words. Like he's too. You have to have a really high IQ to understand Rick and Morty, but you don't seem to understand what the hell is the point of the book. Like not just what it's about, but what's the point? Why should anybody care? So many universities waste everyone's time with asking stupid questions that no one should have an answer to. But you apparently can't find a cure for cancer. I wonder why. I wonder why we're having such a hard time getting the answer to questions that people actually ask. Like, where's my cancer cure? Or if you can reverse type 2 diabetes or cure type 1 diabetes or anything that might actually be important to someone.
Really matter what I think, because I am not a doctor of literature, and I happily accept that I probably know a little bit less about this topic than this actual doctor of literature. But you know who...
Hey, sucking this woman's clitoris, it's not happening, bro. She's not fucking you. Chill with that. Chill out with that, okay?
Who doesn't share that feeling? Many angry internet men. Oh, they were so mad.
I'm so sorry, I have to leave.
Yet another man who can't bear to see a woman succeed. But why? Why were they so mad? Well, it comes down to sort of three main themes that have only increased online in the last few years. The first is men disliking anything a woman does, okay? This is scarily pervasive, and it's becoming really more widespread in a way that frightens me. Men see a woman just in a TV show, in a movie, or just in any profession whatsoever.
All right. It's not about men hating women being successful or not being able to tolerate a woman being successful. God forbid a woman step outside of the kitchen to do something outside of that. The problem that men have is with the increasing vapidity. Yeah, I was going to say vapidness is better to say vapidity. The increasing vapidity of women. Yeah, actually, I'm recording this fucking, it's almost midnight. I'm just don't have it in me to make this a big fancy well-edited response. It doesn't deserve it, right? But no, that's not the reason. Okay, the modern woman, for lack of better words, is just insanely vapid and just goofy. I mean, look what this thesis is about. It's about nothing. It's about nothing. It's just goofy. I don't know how else to tell you. Like, this is something I feel like I could come up with 1,000 different examples, but you'd have to be mind-blowingly disingenuous to pretend like you don't understand what men's problem with women, specifically, younger generations of women, actually is. Like, what the... Okay, whatever.
And are immediately mad. They're like pre-mad, where they're mad first, and then they work out why they're mad later. I feel like we will see this. I mean, it happens obviously in stuff like video games as well. People will watch like a trailer for a video game, and they'll see a woman in it, and they're like, this game is woke. And it's like, what do you think you mean by that? The second...
I think he means what he said in the tweet. Let's actually read it, right? Let's actually read what we're responding to. Is it me or Sony be making their lead female protagonists look masculine as hell. Barely no curves or rough, non-feminine features, unlike the average woman, like cough cough, Last of Us 2's Ellie, etc. Just saying, hashtag my 2 cents. Pick from the game on the left, fan made on right. Higher fans, lol. So this doesn't sound like whoever wrote this is mad that a woman is in a video game. If anything, the opposite is true. They want her to look more like an actual woman instead of Nikocado Avocado, right? So this is the moment in the video that encouraged me to make a response to it, because this is so laughably disingenuous. I feel like videos like this specifically exist, are curated like they come out of some type of AI generated machine, so other channels like City Crusher can respond to it, because this is insanely just dare I use the R word? I'm just gonna say it's retarded. It's retarded. Like this is stupid. You know what the actual issue is, but we're just expected to pretend to not know. That's what's actually happening. It's totally because of men hate women, and men just hate women, even though men are biologically hardwired to be gynocentric, was how we got in this situation in the first place. But men just hate women.
And it's like, what do you think you mean by that? The second aspect is men online thinking that they can do anything a woman does, even if they have no training. It's kind of a rehash of the classic, like, I'm more talented than a female athlete debate. For example, I mean, this is a silly...
Okay, no one... if you're going to use athletics as an example, I think it's safe to say that no man has ever argued that they're just better than any female athlete for absolutely no fucking reason. The reality that people need to come to terms with is that men are in fact biologically stronger than women. They're taller than women. We are stronger than women, and it is specifically due to testosterone. So any woman who trains her ass off to be even a fraction as strong as a man, that should be praised, right? Because women don't have the genetic cheat code of testosterone to help, promote upper body strength and all this other shit that men just kind of get by not really trying. So it's not so much a statement of, oh, men are just better than women and women should stay in the kitchen, but it's rather a statement of, women, when they try to go into sports, athleticism and stuff like that, their biology holds them back from performing as well as a man could. And that's something that's completely out of their control. So it's pretty impressive that a woman can become stronger than a man with training, but without training, no, it's not happening. It's not in God's plan for that to that's not how it functions. That's not how it works. So if a man does even a modicum of training, he's probably going to be stronger than most female athletes, just for the sake of him being a man. And we see this all the time. The super strong woman, and she gets beat by some average dude in an arm wrestling contest. I get what's trying to be asserted here is that, the evil men think that they're better than all the women because all the women are stupid and dumb, and men are bad and hate women because men bad. Now, if you use an example of something where biology didn't play a role in it, like art or music or something where the playing field is a lot more even between men and women, then that would have made some sense, because your testosterone isn't necessarily going to give you an advantage in something like creative writing, right? Where it's fair game. But sports will always be dominated by men, which is why it's gender or sex rather. I'm not the biggest fan of the term gender. Why it's segregated by sex to begin with. Because the sexes, like if it was men versus women, the men would just demolish the women. They would just get completely destroyed. Remember when that there's this women's basketball league, the WNBA team or whatever, they got absolutely destroyed by a bunch of teenage boys. The only reason why that happens is because of testosterone. That's just how it is. And that's not necessarily to disparage female athletes, but if you care about you know, experiencing the best of the best to becoming the best of the best. Like I want to see the best athletes compete in the best sports or whatever. It's never going to be women. It will never happen. You will never have a team of female football players that are just, you know, Abby Smash and just dominating the men. That will never happen unless you come up with some freak science experiment and start genetically enhancing women to become just as powerful or more powerful than men. This will never happen. Stop coping, right? What do you mean by that? A man thinks he's better than a female athlete with no training. He doesn't think that. He knows that it's the truth. It's just the truth, right?
Example, because this guy is both extremely far right and extremely dumb. There's this guy called Ian Miles Chung who is really obsessed with like American right-wing politics.
Oh, Ian Miles Chung, that's a name I totally haven't heard a million times before. Oh, right wing is stupid. Notice how he said right wing is stupid in the same sentence. That's how you know this video, this entire channel is aimed at leftists. Now, look, I have my words to say about leftists, but I'm not the biggest fan of right wingers either. They tend to be pretty gynocentric too. But look, all I'm gonna say about that is I find it very strange how Colbert Report and Daily Show and all this other kind of crap, how there's so much media and YouTube channels and stuff that are centered around confirmation bias, because that's basically what that statement implies. This whole thing is confirmation bias for people who already have a hate boner for men, which is pretty much everybody, because no one really gives a shit about men like that.
And he's always like, we need to take our country back. But he is Malaysian and has never been to America and has never left Malaysia. And he just spends all day tweeting about that. But he tweets.
I do think that's kind of weird. I'll give you that much. There's a lot of people who LARP regarding American politics who aren't even from America, don't live in America, and have no stakes in it. You know, people who are Brits or whatnot who insist upon talking about American politics. It happens a lot, unfortunately.
Tweeted recently a video of a female composer conducting like an orchestra.
All right, let me read this. She's completely out of time and drawing way too much attention to herself away from the orchestra and her music. I hate this new style of conducting. Yes, you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of conducting music. You know, I'm more into like DAWs and that kind of stuff. But it seems to me like this is just another person trying to make it all about themselves. Now, that's not necessarily a quality that is exclusive to women, but it would be disingenuous to say that a lot of modern women don't share this quality.
And he was like, she's so bad at this. And it's like, first of all, no, she isn't. Second of all, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. What?
Are you sure about that, Chief? I've never seen any composer until that video clip that composes like that. Like they're jazzercising and composing at the same time. Maybe that's just how we do it now. I don't know. It's just a new thing that we do. Maybe it's good. I mean, I have to listen to the music. It just seems kind of innocuous. I will say that it's kind of a goofy thing for Ian to complain about, but that's also kind of a goofy looking woman. I don't even know what we're talking about at this point.
Why do you think you know anything about conducting? And of course, like all the replies, to their credit, was...
Why do you think you know anything about... Well, I can say this much. I've never seen anyone conduct music like that before, ever in my entire life. And I feel like there is a reason for that.
Men and women, people of all kinds, you know, taking turns dunking on him, going like, because he was like, she's out of time. And all these people were like, she's the conductor. She sets the time. The conductor physically cannot be out of time. You're stating the time. Also, they were like, she's doing it well. Even if she wasn't doing it well, you don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, it reminds me of one of my favorite posts of all time from at Longwall26. Quote, confident in my ability to properly tennis, I take the court. I smile at my opponent. Serena does not return the gesture. She'd be prettier if she did, I think. She serves. The ball passes cleanly through my skull, killing me instantly. Now that is tennis. That was to do with the fact that a few years ago there was a poll that...
All right, well, who... I know they're referring to this tennis player. The only reason why I'm stopping on that is because I just have to double check if... this is actually a woman. You'll have to excuse me for my ignorance on the subject. I just don't trust any of that stuff. I just all the stuff that we've seen, I just don't trust. I just got to be 110% sure, please. Just 109,000% sure that this is a woman before we go any further. Because when we're talking about sports and athleticism, the fact that they have transgender women in sports who have the testosterone advantage over biological women, you can get mad at me in the comment section for pointing that out if you want. It's the truth, and it gives trans women an unfair advantage, and it's not very fair to biological women that can't really compete with biology like that. That's just kind of a massive fuck you to them. But okay, sure. Ranked number 1, blah blah blah. Okay, I have the name. I'm just trying to see if the Wikipedia article specifically states anything about transgender. I think this might just be a woman. This might just be, just kissing up to women as usual. Oh, the women are so straight about, yeah, Serena Williams is going to blow my head off. Yeah, this seems like a biological woman. Look, if you're gonna sit there and fantasize about a woman knocking a tennis ball through your skull because you're just that unathletic and fat, like, okay, sure, but who is the number 1 tennis player in history? Let me just look that up real quick. Top 10 tennis players or whatever. Top 10 tennis players. Just to see what we have. Gynocentric. Is that a woman? Okay, Alex, they're ranked number 9. Taylor, Fritz. Yeah, okay. I shouldn't have so much dead air. I apologize. I told you I wasn't going to fucking edit this. All right. Jannik Sinner. Italian tennis player. Okay, a man. It's just the genetic the name Janik. I didn't understand. I couldn't tell what the hell that was. I know a lot of people are gonna get mad. I know you people hate it when people stutter and talk normally because people are so mind rotted by TikTok shorts that somebody looking something up on their phone and speaking like a normal human being actually pisses people off. It's gotten to the point now where you have to be a overly hyped up soy jack meme for people to even begin to pay attention to you. It's very troubling to me that this is where people's attention spans have gone to. The point I'm trying to make is, as per usual, the top players in any sport will always be men because men are just stronger than women. It's not something that women should be ashamed of, that's for sure. It's not really under their control. That's like, top 10 birth givers. There will never be a man up there, even though you'll, cope and seethe and try to gaslight yourself into saying that men can get pregnant. That's just not going to happen.
I think like 1 in 8 men thought that they could score a point against Serena Williams. What? Like, it's crazy enough to think that you can
widely regarded as one of the greatest tennis players of all time, and I don't doubt that for a single can't speak. I don't doubt that for a single second, right? It's just that in the gynocentric society that we live in, we're going to overemphasize how amazing it is that this woman can play tennis when the top 10 tennis players are men. Okay, let me just double check. Who is this Taylor person? There was someone named Taylor in there. Is Taylor also a man? Let me just, because that could be anyways. Taylor Fritz. Okay, Taylor. That should be a woman. Oh wait, no wait. American that's a man. Yep, that's blatantly a man. They're all men. They're all men. Like, stop coping. Stop coping. Yeah, some big fat dude who's never who struggles to fucking lift the remote and put his Hungry Man dinner in the fucking microwave. He's gonna get beasted by Serena Williams, but that's not the point. Women are not as strong as men. Just keep coping and seething, I guess.
You, a civilian, can score a point against like any professional tennis player. But Serena Williams? That's crazy, man. The third issue is like...
Well, see how he put extra emphasis on like, yeah, I mean, to think that just average civilian could score a point against any professional tennis player, but Serena Williams of all people, who isn't even like one of the best tennis players of all time, where she's considered one of the best because we have to kiss women's asses, but yeah, but all the men above her, fuck that, right? I'm just gonna pretend like this is not yet isn't just another sport that's dominated by men, like every other sport.
Ignorant people not realizing their own ignorance or not caring, right? There's this thing called the Dunning-Kruger effect that's kind of often misunderstood online, but it basically states that people who are not very good at a specific task tend to overestimate how good they are at it. Like if you get people to take a quiz and then you ask them how they did before they get the results, they tend to overestimate how well they think they did. And it's basically because if you understand so little about a topic, that means you don't understand what it means to be good at it. So you can't recognize the gulf between you and someone who is good at it. Do you know what I mean? It's basically the like, I could probably do that effect. And so it's like you are so far from ever being a doctor of literature that you just think, yeah, that's probably easy. I could probably do that. We also live in a time...
Or what could be happening is you're so far up your own ass and blatantly disingenuous so you can appeal to all the leftists and women that this video is designed for, that we have absolutely no understanding of how science is actually supposed to work or what actual worthwhile literature is supposed to be, that, you know, the ethics in how people describe smells when talking to people is considered something that's worth discussion. And it's like, since you don't understand that, you're going to overestimate the value of whatever the hell is in that woman's book that shouldn't exist. I don't know. This feels like this just feels like a self-report. I'm not entirely sure how to describe it in my current state of awareness, you know, slurring my words and stuff when it's almost midnight. But like, you've got to be kidding me, dude. Oh, if you're like bad at something, you overestimate how good you are at something. Yeah, and people who have a tendency to not understand science seem to overestimate the importance of their pseudo-intellectual psychobabble in the intellectual fields. No one needs to talk about olfactory ethics. Olfactory ethic. You notice how especially when it's women, not exclusively women, but especially when women, is very common. It is always some bullshit about ethics. It's never about just hard, cold math. It's not about the facts. It's always about how it makes us feel. And yeah, people have noticed that. Even other women have noticed this pattern, right?
Of not only widespread anti-intellectualism, but also a time where ignorance is not only tolerated, but elevated. It used to be that if you were a dumbass, you would be ashamed of it. You know, you would be ashamed to be like, I don't know shit about anything. Now there's a whole breed of online bro who takes pride in not only wading into any subject and acting like their opinion matters, but also truly deeply believing that they know what they're talking about, just kind of off the cuff. Which ironically,
I did not read a single one of those tweets that sounded even remotely incorrect. They were all entirely on point. This is a waste of everyone's time. So people criticizing the sheer worthlessness of this book and this woman's degree is the equivalent of a bunch of evil sexist men crying and, oh, they just hate women and wah. You see how this is framed? This not even addressing what people are actually saying, which is her degree is bullshit. And her being a woman is kind of not even the real focal point of it. The only reason why he's making it that point is because, well, I mean, you can't create this misogyny narrative without making it about women's, you know, sex. But also, I mean, let's keep it real. It's women that usually get these degrees in underwater basket weaving, and then they have their husband or whatever bail them out of it, or pay for all their student loan debts, or whatever the fuck. You know, it's always, or have the government bail them out. What the fuck? Are we really wasting taxpayer dollars on this kind of crap? I'm not saying women shouldn't be allowed to go to school, but like if you're gonna go to school, this goes for anybody, man or woman. If you're gonna go to school, it should be something. It should be something that's actually useful. Or don't go to school for like stupid stuff like business or just anything. It has to have an actual return. Like what happened to trying to push women into STEM? I mean, have you tried STEM? I wish I went to take STEM. Oh boy, my financial standing, I wouldn't have mind going back in time and changing my degree to being about STEM. But I at least had the decency to head towards computer science at the very least. Like this is just a waste of everyone's time, and yeah, I'm repeating myself. Oh my god.
Is kind of a sign of low intelligence. As the philosopher and close friend of mine, Socrates, once apparently said, quote, "Although I do not suppose that either of us knows anything really beautiful and good, I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing and thinks he knows. I neither know nor think I know." Smart people know their limits, and there's a lot of guys with Roman statue profile pictures who just sat up real straight when I said that, and they're like, "Oh my god, he mentioned Socrates. Maybe that's based and epic." That's what you got to do with these guys, is just mention Socrates or Plato, and they're like, "Wait a second. Speaking of Socrates."
Look, I don't even necessarily disagree with that quote, but people need to understand that a lot of these philosophers that people like to dick ride are not actually intelligent people. I gotta double check. Was it Socrates? One of these so-called brilliant minds from a million years ago, where they were wiping their own asses with cloth or some shit. That they didn't even have toilets back then. That they're so fucking smart, assuming these people even existed, or not just some psyop created to just I don't know why people glorify people from the past so much who couldn't possibly have known that much stuff, because they just weren't born at a time where they would know that answer to anything. Like these people didn't even know how to explain gravity because they didn't have a formula to explain how it works. And yet you take everything they say as if it's the golden rule of how society is supposed to work. It's stupid. They treat him like it's like you're quoting Jesus Christ at that point. You're quoting some old guy. You didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. But one of these philosophers, I want to say it might have been Socrates, legitimately argued that women were dumber than men and inferior to men or some shit like that, specifically because they had less teeth than men. Now, women's IQ. That's a beehive to. I'll swing a 10-foot pole at that some other time, but I think we can all agree that men and women have the same number of teeth. Let's get real. Like that's the type of stupid shit these people would say. Can you stop pretending that quoting Socrates and Plato makes you intelligent? Socrates and Plato weren't exactly the most intelligent people themselves. I'm not saying that they're absolute dumbasses and nothing they said made any sense, but you have to keep it into perspective. These people weren't in a position to know entirely what they were going to say. We're talking about people who lived in times where bloodletting and all this other kind of crap were things. There's going to be some old philosopher from however many plus years ago who's just occasionally going to say something stupid. You just have to be realistic about it. But, I'm complaining about how people worship these people. That's what I'm getting at. They worship them like it matters what some old guy thinks. Your way of thinking is outdated. Oh, and for the love of God, can we stop dick riding Immanuel Kant already? Please, please. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about either.
Or Plato, that was one of the big criticisms from people. They were going, "This is a silly topic for a PhD."
It is, though. It is. Like, you have to be mind-blowingly disingenuous to say otherwise. Yeah, while you wrote something worthless that no one is ever going to read instead of starting a family, here's a sticker. Facts. I'm sorry that so many strong, independent woman supporters are going to downvote the video and get mad about that. That's just the truth.
Why are you doing a PhD on,
Yeah, you would have spent your years better by getting married and having children. Now, the one thing I will add to that is A woman doesn't necessarily have to, start a family and have children if she doesn't want to. Granted, that's what, women typically did back in the day. That's what they're designed to do. But I'm not one of those people that said that, oh, women need to stay in the kitchen and make sandwiches and, be seen and not heard. That's a little too extreme. But I think it's worth noting, simply because of the differences between men and women. Men and women go through menopause and all the other kind of stuff, and they have to bear the children. The unfortunate reality of it is that if you're a woman, you do have to think a little bit harder about whether or not you want to have children, because that decision is a little harder for you to reverse. There's going to be a point in time where you just can't bear children anymore, and the older you get, the harder the process is going to be. Supposedly there's like increased health with and stuff like that. Men, they just keep cranking out more and more sperm. They just cranking it out, just more and more and more, and they can get as many women pregnant at once as they possibly can. Fuck her, boom, she's pregnant. Fuck her, boom, she's pregnant. He's got 10, 15 kids coming next year. But a woman has to, only make one baby for her a year. That's all she can do. So the reason why I bring that up is, if you spend 4 years getting a degree and going into a field and all this other stuff, I'm a career woman, I'm a strong, independent woman, I don't need no man, and all this other kind of stuff. If you hit the wall and you end up living with a whole bunch of cats, that's kind of like, you kind of just fucked yourself over. Ideally, right? I'm not gonna go into the whole like sexual marketplace value type of shit or whatever. It's over complicating the point I'm trying to make. But basically, like, women have to think more about the wall, as it's called, than men really have to. So yeah, I kind of understand what these guys are saying. You probably would have been better off just starting a family and having some kids than wasting time doing this shit, because that's time that could have spent, getting a family and having your kids. This is literally a waste of your time. But ideally, though, I would say that a woman can do whatever she wants with the life that she's been given. If she wants to start a career, pursue a career instead of starting a family, then she's well within her right to do so. My thing is, you wasted that time on the ethics of smell, when really what you should have done was something productive. If she got a degree or something in STEM, if she went to like the STEM field or something, I would have major respect for that. However, what she ended up doing was just psychobabble. That's the actual problem.
Olfactory literature, when you should be doing a PhD on making robots.
Oh, well, okay, the classic EFAT moment where he addresses the thing that I just got through complaining about. Oops, I guess I should have just let the video play before responding. Let me just read this comment. Oh, look, another woman getting a useless degree that does nothing for the furtherance of society. Women would rather spend years pursuing stupid degrees that won't fulfill them over a family that actually will. And there's definitely an undertone here, right? Because one of the things I've noticed from feminism back when I was a feminist too, so I got a front row seat to all this stuff, is the demonization of the very idea of a woman becoming a mother and starting a family. You being a stay-at-home mother is seen as one of the most oppressive things you could ever do. It's just a huge waste of your potential, when really that should be a woman's choice to do that. It should also be a woman's choice of whether or not she wants to pursue a career, and in an ideal society, presumably the one that people claim they want to have, if a man wants to also be a stay-at-home dad and take care of the kids. And I've seen that happen a couple of times. Some people in my family were stay-at-home dads, and also didn't end very well, for obvious reasons. People want to pretend like men and women are interchangeable. It really doesn't work like that. It kind of doesn't work like that, but that's a tale for another time. Ideally, they could be stay-at-home dads and not really be shamed for that. That's something that the couple would have to coordinate. But usually, it's the woman that stays home and rears the children. That's how it's always been, and the man is more equipped to go out and do the job. He doesn't have to worry about maternity leave or periods or anything. None of that stuff is going to stop him from doing his job. But the thanks to feminism that's completely demonized women's work as being beneath them or beneath anyone for that matter. Anything and everything that makes a woman is considered bad now, at least to these people, you know. Oh, you know, hyper feminization, you know, perky boobies, all this other kind of crap. You know, oh, you chop your tits off and try to emulate men, just ape men. Like, you know, the goal of a woman is to compete with the men. Women are not meant to compete with men. Women were not put on this earth to be men's competition. They are supposed to be men's support. They're supposed to be men's companions. That's how it's supposed to be. It's not necessarily how it works, apparently, but that's ideally how it's supposed to work, right? It's not that, oh, men are superior to women, right? It's that men and women are different. It's like saying that a plug is superior to a socket, right? But you still need the plug and the socket to make electricity flow and, you know, and light up the house and everything, right? You need both of those things. You need women, right? But women are supposed to fill the role of women. And what I'm saying is that the women's role in society has been demonized as weak and just, like it's just been undervalued. I want you to really pay attention to how people talk about women and just like the actual underlying view of women. It probably didn't articulate it too well, but basically what I'm trying to say is that when you pay attention to how these people talk, it actually shows an immense amount of disrespect for womanhood in and of itself, you know. That may not necessarily what's being implied here. He might say something different once I make the video play again, but it's just really agitating to me how womanhood and, you know, motherhood and these things are just devalued in favor of trying to gaslight women to pursue careers that a lot of them don't really want. It's absolutely insane. You know, most of the women that I work with at my job have children, have families. You know, women work and have kids and have families, you know, and it's not like it's impossible for this woman to have this PhD and also go out and start a family. It's not like those things are mutually exclusive. But the point I'm trying to get at by bringing that up is that, you know, women work to support their families in conjunction with their partners or whatever. They work, you know, by themselves, blah, blah, blah. You know, these things are being done with the intent of maintaining a family. And yet feminism would, you know, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. It discourages women from having a family at all. Like, just period. I don't, this whole career, it's funny, this whole career woman shtick, I don't think I've actually met a single woman in my entire life that actually operates based on any of this stuff. So when I say, like, this is something that I don't think women really want to begin with, it's because I don't see any woman who actually wants this. Like, no woman, like, oh, I really want to get into STEM. I really want to just work for 10 hours a day and just make myself miserable. This type of work-life balance it makes most women miserable. Most women that I've met are miserable when it comes to this type of shit. And they only work a job if they really have to. You gotta stop trying to push women to do stuff they don't want to do. Like, because God forbid you stay at home and be a mother and raise children, which is a very important part of raising the next generation of human beings. It's very integral to a structured, stable household. But, you know, God devalue the woman's role in society and make it sound like the woman is worth it. She's only as good as she is compared to a man. You know, if she can emulate a man, then she's good. It's very obnoxious.
Or doing science. You know, there's this very particular wing of online anti-intellectualism that does not respect the arts and thinks that you should only do stuff that is, like, super practical.
Look, buddy, I've seen enough deviant art to know that the arts don't need to be respected, right? I've seen enough deviant art. I've seen enough, what's another one? Fur affinity. Oh, they don't respect the arts. This is just pretentious psychobabble. No, I don't respect the arts. And I don't think I need to explain why. This artsy-fartsy shit, it's garbage. It's pretentious garbage, and I'm sick and tired of people with their thumbs up their asses picking their noses, smelling their own farts, making it sound like this psychobabble shit is so fucking important, and we really need to think about the ethics of this and blah blah blah. You know, like not. Oh my god, you're a computer scientist. Oh my god, you're an engineer. Oh my god, you notice how these people always have a problem with like engineers and people who work in computer science and shit. They always have a problem with these people. Anybody who's like objective about anything. It's just. I'm gonna start ranting about postmodernism and shit if I keep going. You know who these types of people are. You've seen them before. The arts. Give me a break.
Only about doing stuff, never about thinking or feeling. And by the way, when you ask these people what they think science is,
I used to think psych was pretty important. I actually still think psych is a pretty important topic. You know, psychology, thinking and feeling, and why people think and feel certain things. But there's a difference between trying to figure out how the human brain actually works and then coming up with a whole bunch of artsy-fartsy bullshit that you made up to try to steer the conversation in the direction of what you think or what you want the human brain to think, how you want the human brain to operate. It's people who try to like warp reality with words and use them as magic spells. It's not the same as actually thinking. It's not real thought. I'd have to make a video specifically talking about postmodernism and this type of artsy fartsy crap in colleges and just the education system to really articulate that in a way that isn't goofy. But yeah, dude, like no, it's never about actually deconstructing ethics. It's about making shit up. Let me just read this real quick. Dumb readers. I don't really mean by that. Love to imagine that you're supposed to write a PhD titled Why the Odyssey Was Good or top 5 books rather than something intentionally niche. Maybe I'm a little too tired because it's 12 o'clock for me right now to understand what the hell he means by that, but okay.
9 times out of 10 it's just crypto stuff. So opinion invalid. Teacher resigned. But that's wildly anti-intellectual. You know, like there's no practical use for the movie.
All right, I'm trying not to rewind any of this crap, but I just want to reiterate what he actually just said because I just need to make a point about that, about so-called anti-intellectualism.
Particular wing of online anti-intellectualism that does not respect the arts and thinks that you should only do stuff that is like super practical, only about doing stuff, never about thinking or feeling. And by the way, when you ask these people what they think science is, 9 times out of 10 it's just crypto stuff. So opinion invalid. Teacher resigned.
So if you just ask them what science is, they just say it's just crypto stuff. Okay, science isn't. I tell you what science isn't. Right? It's not all the made up shit that you come up with in your own head to try to rationalize why up is down and up is white and all this other kind of shit. It's not this postmodernist crap where you try to rearrange how the world works and say that nothing really exists. It's not that, okay? It's not that. It's something that you can replicate. It's something that studies can document. It's not shit that you just make up. And I love too how like we don't make a distinction between hard sciences and soft sciences anymore. That used to be something we used to distinguish something like psychology was the soft science from a hard science pertaining to things that are purely mathematical. You know, dare I say there's a spectrum to what was considered science. But whenever I try to explain anything like this to these types of people, we're talking about how the human brain works and talking anything about psychology. Oh, psychology, it's a soft science that means it's invalid, and they would just throw it into the dumpster in favor of this postmodernist crap that tries to encourage this idea that everything is subjective. Oh my God, that is such a hair-pulling talking point where people try to say that everything is subjective and that there is absolutely no constants among human beings that could actually be explained by your genetics. Even though there are studies showing that, you know, your genetics determine things like your intelligence, and God forbid that some of those studies even dare to insinuate that your race can be indicative of your IQ. We have to throw all that into the dumpster because it offends people to talk about that type of stuff. So don't talk to me about science. Your side doesn't like science and will throw it into the garbage if the scientific conclusion is something you don't like.
That's wildly anti-intellectual. Like, there's no practical use for the movie Avengers Infinity War, but I bet you liked that, didn't you? You liked the bit where they all turned to dust. It doesn't seem like a frivolous topic, and there are much more educated people than me who have read it and have said that it's actually very...
Comparing it to movies, look, this book is a waste of time. That movie was meant to be entertaining. This book is what is this meant to say? Okay, let's see. Dr. Ali Loke's PhD thesis is said to be one of the most influential theses of the 21st century. Puts forward an original argument with remarkable clarity. Already has 85 million plus views on Twitter. Most people criticizing her don't understand her argument at all. I have a PhD in literary studies, and in this thread, we'll do a close reading of her abstract to understand her argument in simple English. Please do. If I'm dead wrong about it, right? I'll cancel the entire video. I won't even upload. I will shut the whole thing down. Please explain to me what this, just off the title alone, like this. Don't judge a book by its cover, right? Can you explain to me what is interesting about this book that actually makes it that this is something I have to read?
You liked the bit where they all turned to dust. It doesn't seem like a frivolous topic, and there are much more educated people than me who have read it and have said that it's actually very compelling and very interesting and says something about society. I'm sure it does. It's probably why she was awarded a doctorate off the back of it. There have been people who, I mentioned earlier, people get pre-mad where they're mad first, then decide later.
It doesn't seem like a frivolous topic, but I'm not going to explain why. Anybody who understands what words mean knows that that's a frivolous topic. My ethics, my feelings. Why should I care? How we use the prejudice of smell? What the fuck? No, dude. Don't be such a massive pussy. That's the only real response I have for that. Why are you being a bitch about it? Nobody cares. That's the part that you don't seem to understand. Nobody actually cares about that. That is legit retarded. What the fuck? That's what it sounds like anyway. Can we get that abstract? I mean, maybe I need to read this. That would be an interesting video topic. Me actually responding to that, what's written in that book. Oh my God.
A few of them have settled on the decide later, and they've decided, and this is going to shock you, but they've decided it's woke. They've actually,
Nah, I mean, look, the term woke has more or less lost any real meaning that it's had, especially since the term woke really shouldn't be used at all. It's being used as a shorthand for cultural Marxism. That's what people originally meant when they said woke. They meant cultural Marxism, but we can't say that anymore apparently. Well, let's read this tweet here. For those wondering, her PhD thesis per abstract is basically on why it's racist and or classist to not like it when people exhibit body odors consistent with poor hygiene. Is that really what it's about? It's racist or classist to not like it when people exhibit. It's racist to not like people smelling bad. Take a bath. Just take a bath. She doesn't even look. I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh, she looks conventionally attractive or fucking like. She doesn't look like the type of person that would smell bad. So I just find it very weird that you would write a thesis about that. The prejudice of smell. No, your body is designed to reject bad smells. If someone smells like shit, your body is going to reject that. And yes, if you smell like shit, I can make some pretty accurate assumptions about you based on that. If you're fat as fuck, I can probably assume that you're lazy and are not athletic and don't take care of yourself. I can make a lot of assumptions based on how you smell or what you look like, and it would be true. Stop coping. You're not going to meet a 650-pound land whale who can bench 500 pounds, unless you count her own gut as her benching, as her lifting. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Oh my God, man. No, if you smell really bad, it's usually an indication that something is wrong with you, whether it is poor mental health or low finance or just anything, why would you smell that bad? Why? There's nothing to talk about. That's what people are complaining about. That's retarded.
Done by this, but apparently it's woke. It's woke and gay. And also
Yeah, it is woke and gay. It's the gayest shit that I've heard this year. What about it? I'm not apologizing. That is the gayest shit I've heard all year.
Is gay in real life, so that hasn't helped because they're like, oh no, she is gay as well, and
that would explain a lot.
That's woke. And so they're mad about the wokeness and the gayness and all that. I don't really know why they think it's woke. I think that
no, you're pretending to not know. That's why I made this video. You are pretending to not know why. Whatever.
I've not read the thesis. I can't speak with authority. It deals with like...
Look, I haven't read it either, but it sounds like I don't really have to. Some gay chick wrote a book about why it's racist to not like smelly people. That's goofy. That's just goofy. I can't even get... I'm not even mad. I'm just tired. I'm not even mad. I'm just tired. It's just so beyond goofy.
Prejudice to do with like smells, and so I think they've somehow interpreted that as like hating white people. They just interpret everything about hating white people, don't they? They want to be a victim so bad. The doctor...
Well, I mean, when you constantly go out of your way to shit on white people and complain about straight white men for years and years and years, I don't exactly blame people for being so buck-broken that they just assume that any slight criticism of racism and prejudice just happens to be a jab at white people. I mean, when you talk about it being racist or classist to not like smelly people, do you really think that has anything to do with racism towards white people? Or is it white people who are the majority of the wealthy people, or, or people who claim to be white, but I'm not... Look, I'm not the biggest fan of the JQ conspiracy theory either, to be brutally honest with you. But there's something to be said. Do whites own all the wealth in this country? But let's just say for now, whites are the primary owners of most of the world's wealth, even if they don't necessarily own all the banks. They're the ones that own all the wealth. And so it couldn't possibly be about black people's racism towards whites for smelling bad. That's not what the book is about. So, none of those tweets mentioned white people. He mentioned it first. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the underlying message behind it. Because anything that talks about racism or classism is always aimed at straight white men because they're at the top of the totem pole. And, it's punching down. Or if we talk about it the other way around, you always have to punch up, right? It's morally righteous to always punch up, and you're always punching up at straight white men because they're at the top. That statement makes no sense. Who else would it be about?
Good doctor has been very patient about this, and generally, I have to say, her response has been...
What she has said. I'm still generally bamboozled by the sheer volume of people entirely mischaracterizing the subject and argument of my thesis. The words are there before them, but their interpretation is on a separate plane of existence. Look, I'd have to read it myself to be 100% sure, but what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, I don't think they're misinterpreting that. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, just try to be nice about it, but my gut reaction is telling me that nothing is really being misinterpreted here. This sounds absolutely insane.
Been admirable. One person replied to her initial tweet saying, I can't believe you left replies on, and she was like,
fair play for not turning off comments and forego the entertainment. Never. Yeah, entertainment. Look, I appreciate that you're being a sport about it, but I'm starting to feel like comments like this, videos like this, fiascos like this are specifically meant to garner reaction out of people. That's another point I want to make with the video that I'm making right now, is that I'm responding to this, but I highly encourage other people to not do that, because this type of content is littered throughout YouTube. It's all over the place, and it exists with the sheer purpose of igniting a response out of you. It's meant to make you angry. It's meant to disturb you. It's to either do that or brainwash or tickle the testes of the shriveling, non-existent testes of leftists or some shit. Like it's meant to stir the pot, and none of it is genuine. It's just astroturfing. I'm probably just using that term incorrectly and just throwing it out there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not normal. When you get off the internet and talk to normal people, this type of comment, this type of conversation, it never happens. People don't talk about this type of shit in real life. People, this isn't real. This whole, oh my God, so many people on Twitter are saying this. Yeah, on Twitter isn't real life. And even if those people are real people, so let's just say for the sake of argument, these are not like bots that are all like pre-programmed to say misogynistic shit to stir the pot, right? The fact of the matter is the people who sit online all day and get involved in this type of shit don't exist in the real world. So they don't have real world context behind any stuff that they say or any stuff that they experience. When you go outside, you go to the store, you talk to the cute little cashier or whatever, just talk to real people, real men, real women. They don't interact with each other like that. This war of the sexes crap is mainly on the internet. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I have. This women in real life don't even really act like this. I mean, women are still women. It's not like women are like super based in real life. But I've yet to encounter a woman who has talked to me about her underwater basket weaving degree. It just hasn't happened yet.
Like what, miss all the fun, miss all the fireworks, and she for a while was very patiently.
We need a new prefix for people with academic PhDs. Doctor should mean something based. You know what? I don't disagree with this. I certainly won't be putting up my hand if someone asks, is there a doctor in here on a plane? Yeah, I mean, look. Doctor is a meaningless term, okay? You're a doctor in the same sense that Dr. Ross is a doctor. And it's over. It never began. It's over.
Replying to people, just going, just giving very.
Congratulations, Dr. Lukes. Your thesis looks very interesting. Any advice for someone looking to start a PhD soon? Don't listen to what men on the internet have to say about the value of your research. Specifically men. You could have said people, but you said men. At least you said what you meant, right? But don't listen to men. And Charlotte Gregg, don't listen to men. Men are bad. Men bad. Men are bad. I hate men. Men bad. Don't even question why, though. Because that would be crazy.
Reasonable replies. Now I think she's like, I'll just let them cope and seethe. But, I think this has become one of the most downloaded thesis.
Sexist idiots failed so badly at dunking on her for her thesis, they made it the most downloaded research in her field in 100 years. I love an ironic Christmas miracle. Yeah, I mean, that is kind of the point. Stir the pot to gaslight everybody into downloading this stupid-ass book. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see what's in it myself, to be honest. But sexist idiots, notice how we were making it about sex. None of those people really made it about sex. The closest thing to sexist comments were the comments saying you could have, had kids and started a family instead of, writing this stupid shit. Another woman specializing in underwater basket weaving. Sorry to tell you this, but it's not really sexist to point out something that's true. Like, that's just true. Women do like to major in stupid shit. They just do. It's just a trend that happens a lot because they're focused on feelings rather than facts. Okay? I mean, guys can major in stupid shit too. That's not necessarily sexist. It's always sexist because they have to say that it's sexist so they can run with this anti-male narrative that all this shit circles around, this gynocentric anti-male crap that always gets fed to people. It's very obnoxious.
Like ever. She's got a tick online, whatever that is worth. She has been interviewed by publications. I don't wish any of this hate upon her. I wish it hadn't happened, but at least it hasn't held her back. If anything, it's slightly pushed her forward. Of course, we cannot ignore the fact, and this is very important.
It's also very important to note that by next year, no one will know who this woman even is. If even they know now, me making this video is probably going to help boost her more so than anything, because I guarantee you no one knows who the fuck this is. If I talk to any random person I know, even on the internet, and I talk to them about this doctor, they'd have no idea who the fuck I was talking about.
That this all happened on X, the everything app, which has very truly quickly cemented itself as one of the most toxic places on the internet, and that is a high bar. Another reason she's tapped out of the discourse is that she
I love how we've completely gone past the point of saying anything about 4chan because it's been so compromised by cuckolds that 4chan isn't even considered a bad place to be anymore. It's just yeah, they. If anything, it's like in the same boat as Reset era, or it's terrible. 4chan of all places is cucked now, and I forgot all about 8chan. That was supposed to be the replacement. Oh man. Okay, Dr. Lukes, we support you. Last week, Humber students published a photo celebrating who cares? I'm not reading that.
teaches at Cambridge and needs to focus on that. So while you're arguing about, what's a real thesis, she's just actually teaching at actual Cambridge. We also should mention
a lot of professors teach bullshit at college. A lot of professors teach absolute garbage. I would go as far as say that college in its current state is anti-education, and you would be better off either going into a trade, a blue-collar job, or trying to teach yourself computing or something, teaching yourself something instead of having some Marxist professor try to brainwash you with gobbledygook. Because what I'm hearing, it sounds absolutely insane. The college that I went to didn't have that type of shit in it, thank God. But these brick and mortar colleges with these crazy professors, I'm hearing horror stories from this shit. To be clear, this is where I draw the line. This is abhorrent and illegal, and no one should ever have to deal with this. Oh, I'm assuming that's the grape word at the end of it, or else she wouldn't have said abhorrent and illegal. Because it's not abhorrent and illegal to call someone stupid, but threatening to, R-word them. Yeah, ideally you wouldn't do that, but, you also can't convince me that comments like this by no name avatarless accounts, these bot accounts, I wouldn't put it past these people to create these accounts to create like fake rage, artificial outrage by okay, so here's how the astroturf is going to work, right? We're going to make these fake accounts, and then you're going to get insulted. He's going to like threaten to R-word you, right? And then we put it in the video, and like all this shit, to like this person, this blub person probably isn't even real. I don't know. I've seen a lot of shit on the internet, so it's not impossible. It's just this happens all the time for reasons that increasingly make very little sense. And it's starting to feel like, to me, like, okay, what if these types of comments aren't even coming from real people? All the botting on the internet, the dead internet theory, as it were, has me skeptical of these types of comments now. I don't think that's a real person. It goes without saying I have reported this to the police. It goes without saying that people threaten to grape ape each other on the internet all the time and nothing happens. So that's a... Look, let's not have a Brianna Wu moment out here. This is just goofy.
That she has received genuine threats of violence, threats of sexual violence, threats against her life. And I feel like often when people bring this up, when they bring up...
Look, I hate to say boo fucking who, because that just sounds really mean-spirited, but like this has happened, this wolf crying shit has happened so many times now that I'm not entirely sure how genuine it actually is anymore. Women getting threatened on the internet and being pushed out of male spaces, yeah, that does suck, but people want to act like they don't know why, and they always want to overemphasize all these people. Oh, they've been given death threats, they've been given death threats. Like, okay, being given death and R-word threats, that doesn't make you correct, that doesn't make you right. What you said was still dumb, I guess, is what I'm trying to get across here.
up death threats. They go, that's not cool, guys. People always say this, they're like, guys, death threats are not cool. It's so much worse than not cool. What are you talking about? You cannot threaten a person's life. Certainly not over shit like this. That's so insane. And again, I don't think a man, well, a white man, I don't think a white man would receive this level of vitriol for simply posting. It wouldn't attract any attention. It would.
Okay, for starters, I mean, you can be a shithead about it and be so like, well, a white man would never post anything this retarded. But nah, look, that's a cope. You basically just told me what this is about. This is about, women good, men bad, especially white men bad, because nobody hates on white men. No one would ever talk this mad shit about a white man. No one would ever threaten to kill a white man. No one would ever do any of that stuff. So Donald Trump just doesn't exist, is what I'm hearing. I'm supposed to sit there and act like people don't spurg out about Donald Trump at all, like ever. Oh man, a white man would never receive this type of treatment. No, white men have received this type of treatment a lot. In fact, and here's an example. You'll love this, right? If anyone remembers Jack Thompson, he's a white man, or at least I don't know what ethnicity he's, but he looks white to me. Jack Thompson was a white man, and because he's criticized video games, people talk mad shit about him and would like edit pictures of him with male genitalia being in his mouth and getting coomed on and stuff. They just disrespected the hell out of him for criticizing violence in video games. And one could argue that in retrospect, in hindsight, he actually kind of had a bit of a point. He had more of a point than Anita Sarkeesian did. But it didn't stop him from getting harassed for daring to criticize video games. He was a white man. And so being a white man didn't protect him, kind of puts a wrench in that narrative. It's almost like it's not true.
Would just be another tweet. Anyway, I wish the good doctor nothing. It's very fun to call her the good doctor.
Yeah, it's very fun to suck up to women because men are bad.
I was talking about The Good Doctor, the TV show about the doctor with autism, played by Freddie Highmore, who screams and yells. What was the meme where he was like yelling at the... I am a surgeon! Although, hey, shout out to him too, doing life-saving medicine every day. But yeah,
I wouldn't want an autistic person operating on me under any circumstances.
All the best to the good doctor. I think she's probably doing fine. Everyone else, touch grass. And we've made it to the end, so this week for the...
Well, I mean, if I touched grass, then I wouldn't be watching this shitty video because only internet people will have the time to respond to something this fucking retarded. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, like, I don't know. Does it matter what else he says, Pat? You get the idea. There's nothing else to be said here. So, in conclusion, what's the point being made here, right? The point being made here is these types of videos are made to appeal to leftists, appeal to womans, and just push a narrative. They're pushing a narrative and trying to get people to believe shit that isn't really true. Like there's stuff in here, as I pointed out, that this guy said they're just straight up lies, right? And let's just top it off by looking at some of the comments. A woman on Twitter was sent death threats by men on Twitter. That checks out. A case of the old blues. Must be a day that ends in a day. Ends in day. And people wonder why people have been fleeing Twitter in droves. It must be that all the normies have fled to Blue Sky. No, yeah, all the Democrats definitely went to Blue Sky. I can attest to that. Because I'm on Blue Sky too, and I just see nothing but like Coomers and lefties. They all flew off to Blue Sky, which is it's whatever. And blue's in the name, I guess. The funniest thing to me is that these people were like, no one is ever gonna read this trash. And as someone who is currently working on a PhD, like that's something other PhDs tell you about your thesis to comfort you. Like, yeah, don't worry, no one is going to read your thesis except your committee. So who cares? And then they made it so everybody went and read it. Well, that just tells me that PhDs, like a lot of these doctors, are just fart sniffers that write retarded shit. That's what it sounds like. Don't worry, no one's going to read your thesis because your thesis is fucking retarded. It would be, preferably your thesis should fucking make sense. It shouldn't be a waste of time. Right? Again, neuroscience, I'm not going to read all that crap. It's fantastic to still see people not knowing the difference between a PhD and an MD PhD. When was that even relevant? Just skip that. There's so much rage among said people who claim to be going their own way. No, you notice how MGTOW was never specifically mentioned throughout the entire video, and yet this person just presumes that these are people who are MGTOW. And people talk shit about incels, even though involuntary is in the name. Involuntary is in the fucking name. These are people who are like short and ugly, and you're just kicking them while they're down. Just proving rehab room's point whenever you talk shit about these people, which, God forbid that, we show some empathy to men, because men are bad. Yeah, as a man, I say this all the time, as someone who actually goes their own way or whatever, or sent their own way. Men don't really go their own way. They're typically sent their own way. If you were given the opportunity to actually get with a woman, you probably would, but because you got fucked over in a multitude of ways, and you weren't dumb enough to like not notice patterns, like, actually have pattern recognition, you go your own way. That's typically not what happens. That's why so many MGTOWs are themselves also gynocentric. But all those men going their own way were expecting women to be chasing after them and begging them to wife them up. Instead, they get crickets. Yeah, because they're under 6 foot and don't have 6-pack abs and don't make 6 figures, don't have 6 inches. Yeah. Of course, because women only go after like the top 10% of men. It's called hypergamy. I don't know what you were expecting. Men go their own way because they don't stand a fucking chance. They don't realistically expect women to come chasing after them, especially with daddy government paying all their shit for them. I don't think any rational man who has gone their own way has ever thought that women were going to chase after him. Like, realistically speaking, there's no reason for you to think that. I reevaluated my stance. Many of us know men don't get women. Men will be alone forever. That's life. There's a vocal half for sure, but there are normal people too. Let me read that. Is that person actually acknowledging what's happening and reevaluating my oh yeah. Okay, so this is the same guy from the top here. Leafy is here, dumb whatever. I'm not reading the rest of that. So, as a man who's going their own way or whatever, I've reevaluated my stance. Many of us know men don't get women. Yeah, they don't. Men will be alone forever. That's life. Yeah, and it doesn't affect a woman. So that's probably why this only got 2 upvotes, because this is a man, presumably, who is becoming self-aware of the situation that he's in and has yet to actually get upset about it. I guess maybe he's gotten past that point. He's gone to the acceptance phase, in which, good for you, I guess. But like, holy fucking shit, yeah. And what's funny is I don't even consider myself to be an incel. I could probably very easily get a girlfriend if I just lowered my standards to like, I'll deal with someone who I have no chemistry with whatsoever. But it like my looks and my height are definitely not the thing that's holding me back. But I love how men fail at dating for things that are completely outside of their control, like their face and their height, yet women who will, job of the slut, right, basically just be fucking enormous. These are things that are completely in a woman's power to control, like her weight. And not only will they bitch and moan about men judging them for things that are actually under their control, but most of the time it won't even fucking matter, because she'll be the size of the fucking moon. She'll be a literal fucking Death Star, and it will still be people, including me, who will actually fuck with that. It's just not the same between men and women, and it's not something that I'm mad about either. I don't think it's something worth getting mad about. It just people need to be honest about it. The problem is that we keep lying to ourselves about how this actually works. gaslighting each other, saying, "Oh, it's about your personality." When like your personality matters, and if you're going for like a long-term relationship, but if you're just trying to get hitched on Tinder or something, for personality, it has nothing to do with it. A lot of people are very vapid, and unless you are really really okay with just like, oh, I just have to find someone. Just have to find someone. It's the hard part is really just going to be finding someone who is genuine and sincere, and that goes for both sexes. It goes both ways in that regard, but definitely more for men, because there will be women out there. They'll be flirting with you and stuff. They'll only be interested in you because of your height or your money, and like, are you okay with that? I mean, she doesn't really love you. That's kind of one of the sobering things, or one of the bad things about like that black pill, as it were, is that even if you do find a relationship and it works out for you because you're tall and handsome and have money and all this kind of stuff, if you know anything about female nature and hypergamy and you're aware of the situation, how are you going to bullshit yourself into believing that this person actually cares about you? It's going to make it a lot less appealing to you if you know what's actually going on. So that's the main reason why I don't really fuck with a lot of women, is that I'm waiting for a woman who's actually sincere. What we got here? I thought her thesis had something to do with feministy subjects, not that justifies the harassment, but then to find out it was about literature and completely ordinary and unrelated to anyone. Yeah, but literature regarding what? I guess I'd have to read it, because it sounds like it's about how it's sexist to not like stinky people, which is stupid. Maybe it's because literature is seen as more feminine and liberal topic. Obviously, that doesn't. It is, though. Women like talking. Women like feelings. Men like math. Men like facts. Men are more rational. Women feel a lot more. That's not. I'm not gonna debate that. Like, people need to come to terms with that. Stop coping. All right, I think you get the general point. The real reason why I was reading the comments is to just kind of show like how people are reacting to this, or how they're allegedly reacting to this, and it's just a lot of people, clapping in agreement like seals as usual. Every time I do one of these comment responses, which I need to learn my lesson to stop doing, it's always the same shit every single fucking time, and I waste like 30 minutes going over comments when you already know what they're going to say. But yeah, it just kind of goes to show that there's this ongoing narrative that people are swallowing, that men are just bad and they just shit all over the men. I don't see anyone in here who's like, hey, wait a minute, this is like pushing a narrative that shits on men. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You even lied a couple of times. I'm not sure these men are even real. I mean, hold up. Like, men aren't sexist like that. And yeah, what she wrote, what she's talking, it is stupid. Like, come on, that's what people are talking about. No one is calling out the gynocentric anti-male narrative being woven in this video, because nobody gives a shit, and people seem to actually believe it. That's like, I don't know. It's just very, very strange. But I guess on the positive, to end on a more positive note, if you just stay off the internet and just talk to normal people in the real world where everything is normal, you most likely aren't going to get too much shit. It's not like people are going to crank out a noose and hang you from a tree for being a man. But even then, it's really obvious that men and women are treated very differently, even in offline. But on the internet, where everything is condensed and it's more like a hyper reality than anything, then things are very often exaggerated. It can seem like the world is out to get men, and it's just very interesting, for lack of better words, how men basically make the world go around, and yet this is how they're treated, not just by women but by each other. Because I would argue, I mean, we listen to a man talk about all this shit. Men are arguably their own worst enemy. I would say most of the misandric, gynocentric crap that I've heard comes from other men. It's not really from women. Women benefit from it, sure, but I'd argue that it only basically comes from men. They're the lawmakers. They're the ones who are in positions of power. It's all men. So just keep that in mind. Every time there's a gynocentric law being passed, it's a man that's pushing that through. You know, even if women were the ones pressuring him to do it, it's a man that had the final say. So, just I don't know. Maybe one of these days, men will rip off their own shackles and stop being their own oppressors. But until then, you know, women good, men bad. Let's see. Latent incelism. Incels are natural selection. Oh wow, yeah. Fuck incels. Fuck incels. Those guys are so yeah. Isn't the number of women going to college increasing while the number of men is decreasing? If it continues, the number of women with advanced will also increase. With advanced will. Okay, I think there's a word missing there. But yeah, but why are more women going to college and less men going to college? That should concern you. That should irk you a little bit. But you know, men bad. Having letters behind your name doesn't make you smart. And if someone collapses and someone yells, "Is there a doctor here?" If you can't help, you're not a doctor. Based. I'm thumbing that up. Based. If a woman does anything outside marriage and babies, they get triggered. I don't know. That's not as true as you want to believe it is from my experience. That's people don't really react like that. Everybody in the comment section are clowns. Random posts become viral for no reason. Do you not realize how ridiculous the internet is? You people need to step away from the internet when you take L bots. You take L bots. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. This is not real. This is not real. Thank you. Thank you for noticing that. This is not actually happening. I wouldn't even be surprised if like Chat GTP is what actually created that thesis and that this woman isn't even real. So I think you've gotten more or less the gist of it. So there's some people in here that are finally catching on that this is just a whole bunch of made up shit. But yeah, that's the point of the video. This stuff is astroturfing, all that other kind of good shit, good conspiracy nonsense. It's a big psyop. This isn't really happening. You know, it's you either hate men or you're a man and you watch it and you get paranoid about how women are going to treat you. All you need to know is how female nature actually works. Don't get mad about it. Come to terms with it. Accept it. And don't let these people try to convince you that some evil hate cabal went after this poor, innocent woman. That like this woman probably isn't even a real person. Just don't even think about it. All right, that's all I have to say on the matter.